Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. I'll start with a crypto basics reference. CEO of the cryptocurrency exchange Ripple, Brad Garling, threw a celebration after the SEC was finally defeated, which happened around a month and a half ago, as you probably already know. Here's the splashy headline from the cryptocurrency industry. As promised, Ripple finally beats the SEC in New York. You listening right now, are cordially invited to this celebration. The next 2 years may be pivotal for the widespread acceptance of cryptocurrencies, according to the vice president of Ripple. As the Ripple VP indicates in the heading, they are also discussing point of view. It's fascinating because she references a change in attitude toward crypto in relation to more conventional forms of currency. And I just realized that some of my own observations are similar to those stated here. I mean, it used to be the case, in fact, when I first got involved in cryptography roughly 6 years ago, it was just starting to become a little bit more green screen. But we're still in a position where it would have been more difficult for, say, a family office at an investment firm, choose any local firm, it doesn't matter where you are, to persuade clients to get into crypto in 2017. In contrast, the landscape seems to be closer to why aren't you engaging in due diligence here, Mr. Financial Advisor, if you aren't actively working to ensure that your customers and clients are exposed to cryptocurrency. This is almost 6 years later. The situation is similar when looking at the rate of real adoption, with queries such as, is there a place for XRP and crypto and traditional finance? Is there possibly a place where that debate might be continuing from back then? And today, not so much? Things are different now. At this moment, it appears that we have reached a critical mass, as noted by the Ripple BB. And what does that signify for XRP going forward? Deaton also references this post from Crypto Basics, asking SEC to reread it so he can figure out how he arrived to the conclusion that XRP is worthless. But let me be clear, I am not a financial expert, and I am not giving any sort of financial advice. I mean, you wouldn't want to buy or sell based on what I say, would you? Simply a crypto fan that likes to share his knowledge on YouTube. But only as a pastime and for recreation. Okay, so let's get to the best bit. Apparently, in its first year, Ripple threw a huge celebration for its 2.6 million followers on Twitter, Ripple X, so you don't even have to read the article to find out about it. They all look at the same tiny graphic that says September 29th NYC, they then jotted, say the date on the paper. On September 29th, we will be holding a party for the locals. Location, Big Apple. Later this week, we'll provide additional information, so stay tuned. So, at the time of this recording, I have no further details to share with you. They better have given this some serious consideration. Because oh my god, there are a lot of people. Because there are millions of us here, I can confirm it to be true. Millions of people throughout the world have owned XRP again and time again. That's a lot of people to invite to a party, and while I realize not all of them will make the trip to New York City, you can't possibly expect them all to stay within the United States. You don't believe that at least some people from other nations will make the trip here. Clearly, then, there is more of a challenge involved in getting started. Let's assume you're not in the United States proper. I'll admit that, nonetheless, I still expect there to be a large number of people in attendance. So, I have no idea where the event will take place. I'm anticipating a major turnout. Here's what Brad Garland House had to say about it. He reposted it and declared that the promised victory party must now begin. It's been quite a ride over the past few years. I hope to raise a glass with you on September 29th in New York to honor this occasion. And so, people, he initially brought this up in early May, at that XRP Las Vegas event, I'm quite sure. He didn't lie, and here we are, a few months later, following through. In fact, he has hosted a massive celebration for the entire XRP network. I have to use my imagination to picture this. Since the organizers likely have no idea how many people will attend, a paid event seems like the most reasonable solution. We don't learn anything particularly interesting here. There is essentially no chance at all that I will show up. In reality, I have an upcoming trip to celebrate an anniversary with my partner, and this event is in direct conflict with that trip. That stinks, but hey, it would have been good to have a little more time to prepare, or at least some advance warning, but hey, I still think it's very cool that they're doing this. I guess I'll have to get my kicks off of watching everyone else. An excerpt from Attorney DT's quote follows. Furthermore, he also shared this from Ripple. And he remarked, I know a little bit about the XRP community and how hard and long they fought for clarity. I can show you 75,000 email addresses and phone numbers. Ripple better have a big venue, is all I can say. Yes, exactly my thoughts exactly. They missed the mark by a factor of 30. That being said, I have no doubt they will. It's a major affair, so they'll probably give it some serious thought in terms of logistics. And to accomplish with so little warning. After then, it's a real possibility if even one person can do it. There we have it. The next 2 years, according to the vice president of Ripple, may mark a turning point in the widespread acceptance of cryptocurrencies. At the recent Ripple consensus, Vice President of Corporate Strategy Yoshikawa expressed optimism that the next 2 years could mark a turning point in the widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies. Prominent XRP influencer Crypto Eddie shared an excerpt from the interview with the crypto community. During the conversation, Yoshikawa provided some insightful commentary on blockchain technology and the current status of the financial services sector. Specifically, she cited numbers from a report on payments that was just released in conjunction with the U.S. Faster Payments Council. The VP claims that a study of 300 payment professionals from 45 countries was conducted by Ripple. The purpose was to assess the current landscape of blockchain-based financial transactions from the viewpoint of industry experts. The survey was also designed to learn about the pros and cons of blockchain technology. And check this out, FTSE 100% of those surveyed in the report agreed that using blockchain technology, virtual currencies, and advanced payment methods would be beneficial. The interesting thing is that this probably wouldn't have been the case roughly 6 years ago, when crypto was a lot more difficult sell and when investments in crypto, particularly XRP, were undoubtedly riskier than they are now. Personally, I think there are hazards that XRP could eventually reach zero, but that's just me. That much is true, I own it. What will happen to the cost is a mystery to me. In contrast, in my non-expert perspective, XRP appears to be much less dangerous. You guys have legal certainty, which is huge, but XRP is also gaining in popularity, and this is another evidence that it is keeping pace with the cryptocurrency industry as a whole. So he is also equipped with XRP for the truly bold maneuvers. Since XRP is restricted. That's why I can't wait for the next time crypto markets experience euphoria, which, in my opinion, is inevitable, to watch what unfolds. In any case, the ceasefire holds. Experts in Chicago also agree that blockchain and cryptocurrencies will have a major impact on financial transactions within the next 3 years, 97%. According to the facts presented, the widespread use of blockchain and cryptocurrency is now unquestioned, as the VP of Ripple emphasized. Now, efforts are being put into figuring out when and how to implement crypto. In addition, Yoshikawa highlighted the changing attitude in the payment sector by saying, quote, "It is no longer a question of if, right, it is rather a question of when, how." She reflected on how skepticism about blockchain and cryptocurrency's utility in the financial sector was widespread 7 years ago. But she claims that skepticism is no longer an issue. To paraphrase, there was still a lot of skepticism and questioning, does the payments industry really need blockchain or crypto, when she first started working at Ripple 7 years ago. She goes on to say that the next 2 to 3 years will be a critical, pivotal tipping moment for universal adoption, but we no longer hear that question or comment. Now we can talk about practicality. Therefore, in my opinion, and I'll say this again, he can never technically know anything, for sure, and he certainly can't see into the future. However, I cannot help but feel that this is a certainty. Simply put, if a new piece of technology can improve people's lives, we have a tendency to embrace it and use it. And if the legislation has to be changed, then people will figure it out. And now, finally, here we are, years later. And now we've arrived. It's as if it were time to skip ahead 10 years. Basically, the potential for financial gain associated with cryptocurrency investments will be drastically reduced. At least, that's what I think. Not that chances wouldn't present themselves. All I'm saying is, this right here is the real deal. With respect to this matter. Currently, we are participating. We're in the midst of it now. In my opinion, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and others are starting to see it too. It was probably the same for most of you when I dove in. We're really just taking a position. We're taking these stands about crypto and the future of the industry because we believe in them and because we're willing to put our money where our mouths are. Those views are held by a small fraction of the population. And as time goes on, it becomes increasingly accepted in the general population. If everyone already agreed, we'd be too late to take advantage of the numerous opportunities that have arisen because of our early entry into the fray. But now we find ourselves here. After establishing that XRP is worthless, the third story doesn't ask SEC to read how we got here again. John Deaton, the inventor of crypto law in the United States, has criticized the SEC for failing to fulfill its original mandate. So says defense counsel Deaton. The securities regulator is willing to break the law to get the job done. The attorney for XRP supporters used the Ripple case to argue that the SEC was acting illegally. After Australian attorney Bill Morgan criticized the SEC for asserting that XRP has no intrinsic value, attorney Deaton weighed in. According to Morgan, the SEC raised this argument not in the Ripple case, but in the summary judgment storage stage. The regulator, he continued, had made the same point in its request to join as an amicus curiae. Also, let's halt the note for a moment. As for whether or not XRP has any true worth, I'm relieved the lawyer didn't try to argue that point right now. Contrarily, I must decline. And if you're going to argue, explain to me why you think XRP is worth anything in and of itself. Actually, I doubt it. There's no doubt in my mind that it's useful. Since the XRPL is open source, I could theoretically fork it and use it to create my own coin. After that, I can do whatever I want with it because it's just sitting there. Does it have any worth on its own? A Moon Lumbo coin, if I may suggest it. Yes, I really think I could pull that off. That would be XRP, or XRP. But now that I've given it a new name, I can adjust it. Slightly. Does it have any worth on its own? Absolutely not. Actually, it has no worth at all, which is distinct from its cost. If you pay it up, you'll get nothing in return, but what I'm getting at is that it has no real worth to begin with. Only by being put to use in the solution does something acquire value in a cryptocurrency. So, the way I see it, something has no real worth by itself. That's not a bad thing, by the way. That's just accepting reality. It's not like I'm arguing that XRP has no value. I'm arguing that it has tremendous worth, which is distinct from its price. Absolutely. However, this particular moniker was suggested since it is irrelevant. If you think this isn't related to how the piece has been maintained thus far, think again. Pro-XRP Council responded by quoting a section of the Howey test, a long-standing U.S. securities test, which reads, "The test is whether the scheme involves an investment of money in a common enterprise with profits to come solely from the efforts of others." The responding attorney did not urge the SEC to read the Howey test again. If that condition is met, it makes no difference whether the business is speculative or not, or whether the property being sold has or does not have inherent worth. As a result, the SEC frequently use such wording. And they make me stir up feelings in readers in particular, you know. Whether XRP passes or fails the Howey test for intrinsic value is irrelevant, it's worthless either way. You are aware of their plans. To stir up emotions and try to influence the optics of what the public will see, the parties in the SEC versus Ripple case, which is not a fraud case, are employing terminology reminiscent of fraud. That sums it up nicely. The truce holds. As Deaton pointed out, former SEC Director Bill Hinman said under oath in the deposition in the Ripple case that the SEC does not need to establish all prongs of the Howey test to prove a sale qualifies as an investment contract.